Okay, I hit the button. So my microphone is all right. Let's see if I get a transcoder today. I did. That's nice. So this is stream number 2. My series trying to build my own keyboard. So this is what I have so far. I have the microcontroller, and last stream I got the baseline for the firmware setup, kind of based off of the RP 2040 template that the RPRS folks have, and I kind of cut it down to just blink the LED with not so many of the comments or other optional things that they had in there. I had attempted to take all this boilerplate stuff, the setup for the board, and try to put it in another function, and I failed. And I kind of thought about it later and realized what I did wrong and why it wouldn't work. It's because with things like this, they're doing a partial move of this pack object. So once we do that, it kind of limits what we can do with that pack object. We can't borrow from it anymore. We can't move it or transfer ownership. So we're kind of stuck once we start moving out. So I'm thinking if we do make a boilerplate function to kind of reduce what's in main, then that boilerplate's going to have to own pack, and we won't get it back out. So we're going to have to get everything we need from the pack and only return out the things that we derive from it. So ultimately what I want to have in the main is just the minimal, like what you see here that this does. It's just blinks the LED, and that uses this WS object and a delay thing. Hey there, Sarian, how are you doing? So I meant to rename this. I don't know why it was, oh, I know why it was called WS, because it's based off of the circuit name for the NeoPixel. I really want to just call it NeoPixel, so let's call it NeoPixel. Yeah. So if I just want NeoPixel and this delay MS, which is really a wrapper for this delay, which is itself a wrapper for a product of this timer, I think all we really need are the NeoPixel and the timer, because this countdown actually borrows from self and puts it into the timer. So we can't, I was running into this last time, we can't return a delay out of the function that has the boilerplate in it without also returning the timer, and then there's having one a borrow of the other. Makes it really complicated. So I'm thinking we'll leave this out of the boilerplate and along with this and put everything else in there. Let's see if I can do it. And then I'll get into the USBs. So the big thing I want to work on today, the ambitious goal I have, is that when this is running my firmware, that it also operates as a serial port, and I can actually see print statements. Hey there, 715-209, long time no see. Long time since you've seen me. I have never seen you. But, you know, these kinds of things can only go one way, unless you were to stream, too. See, I'd like this thing to actually spit out messages on a COM port. And from what I've seen so far, all the driver stuff is done for me. I just need to wire it up correctly and then have some function call on my loop that says, like, write to that serial port. So that's my ambitious goal today. Let's see how far I get. But first off, I want to try to, again, my third attempt to grab as much of this as I can and put it into some kind of boilerplate. And let's call it like init. Okay, so there's some kind of public function init. I don't really need a long name, do I? Is this the second stream? It is. I think I updated the title. Title should be Rusty Keyboard 002. The 001 was 2 days ago. And VOD is up. And I'll probably put it on YouTube eventually so people don't miss it, or people who miss it can go review it. You missed the first one. Dang it. You'll have to go look at that VOD. Well, the first one's always kind of rough, right? Because I'm out of practice. So now I don't have any excuses. I have to do a non-scuffed stream, right? Stream 1, I'm allowed to be making mistakes left and right and say, and then have things not work. But now it's the second stream. I can't have any mistakes, right? Wave hello, and your chips finished cooking. Don't you love those coincidences? Well, we haven't done anything important yet, Sarian. I'm just looking into putting all my boilerplate for my firmware setup into something called init. I need to decide what I want to get back. I think I'm going to be expanding on this as I go, so let's have it return a structure that represents all the resources that we're going to need from the hardware abstraction layer or the peripheral access crate or whatever you want to call it. Can I just call it resources? Maybe I should call this whole module resources and have this be a new function for it. That probably makes a lot more sense. How do I do that again? Is it F2? Yeah. And then resources? I like that name. And so we'll make a structure F2. As I get this confused because on my Mac it's not F2, it's enter for some reason. When you want to rename something over here, you have to hit enter. I think it's because it's a Mac OS convention. Anyway, struct resources. If I type slower than you might think that I should be able to, or if I make a lot of mistakes, it's because I'm actually typing on my Corn keyboard. I've been practicing for about 6 months using the Colmac layout, so I'm still practicing. So we want our NeoPixel class, and this one had a funky type, right? That I'll just mouse over and see what it was again. It's this very complicated type. And I think I'm, again, going to, like I had before, a type alias for it. And I learned that this countdown is has a certain lifetime over a timer. So really the whole thing has a lifetime over a timer. Actually, am I going to run into trouble here? The NeoPixel's borrowing the timer. The timer can't be in the resources, can it? So maybe what I need to do, let me think about this. Have init not get the NeoPixel, but have another function which borrows resources and from that gets the NeoPixel out of it, maybe? Hey there, Linux. You've been programming for 42 years. How do you still have brown hair on top of your head? Well, don't you see this? This is graying. For me, it's like graying from the beard out. So, you know, when we reach 45 years, maybe I'll be gray all over. Who knows? I said, no! Okay. Resources. I think really the essential one is the timer. And anything else a NeoPixel needs. Okay, bad news. The NeoPixel actually borrows from PIO, which can't escape our init function. So what does that tell me? That the NeoPixel also needs to be constructed in the init function. Maybe, can I get away with having more than one timer? No, the timer borrows from the pack. Okay, so I thought I'd be able to get away with this by putting the NeoPixel and the timer in there. But if NeoPixel is borrowing from timer, that's going to be a problem, right? Because it's a self-referential structure at that point. Okay, this is going to require more thoughts. So how about we just, how about I keep it where it is? Not reference it as a module from main, and we'll just move on for now. Let me just make sure that this still builds. That's a lot of typing, and I'm lazy, so maybe I will make a shortcut for that. Called build dot bat because I'm on Windows. Cargo build release. So now I can just type build. And then flash was the other one, and I have to hold down the bootloader button, toggle the reset button. You hear the bada sound. Flash. Bada. And bada. We're running the new version. Alright. That works. Let's just move on to the USB stuff. So, from what I was reading before, we're going to need a few crates. One of them is USB-D. Serial? Yes, USB-D serial. If I wanted to act like a serial port. So we're version 0.1. So let's grab that. USB-D serial 0.1. And this will say, yeah, it's depending on USB device and embedded HAL. I think maybe we can just look at their example here and try to get this into the code. Hey there, TS Jost, how are you today? Or should I say, this morning for you. Okay, so let's see. We make a serial port thing. And we use it with the USB device, and we make the USB device using a USB device builder. We need a USB bus. I should probably make this bigger so you guys can see it. That would be nice, right? Yeah, so this is what I was reading before. To get our USB interface working, we need a USB bus, which I think comes from our HAL. We pick a vendor and product ID, and we can attach other attributes as we're building it. It's using the builder pattern. And when we call when we call build on that, we get a whole USB stack constructed. Interesting. I thought that we needed this serial when we actually are using the builder, but I guess not. So it's used here when we pull the USB. So we have to do this in our main loop, right? And that kind of drives the whole USB stack. And then with the serial, we can call read and write on it. And the rest of it should be taken care of by the USB bus driver. Hey there, dude, man. That's right, we're doing things in Rust. I wonder what vid and PID that is. Can I look that up? I'm just kind of curious. USB vid that. What is that? Who knows? If it doesn't come in the top, then it probably... This is a YouTube video? It's probably not a well-known one. So it's probably either some placeholder for generic USB serial port or serial device or something random. We can't just pick anything there because some vendor and product IDs can be used for popular devices that Windows will get confused about, so I guess it's safe enough to just use this, right? So what if I just copy the essential code from the example and see how far I can get? So part of our main, after we all set all this stuff up, is we're going to try to, if I can remember my keyboard, I'm going to try to set up a serial port. So construct a USB serial port driver. We see right away that I'm missing the bus, so I'll have to add that in a second. So this is build the entire USB stack. And then we don't need this extra loop, because in our main loop here, we'll do our polling. It's going to be a problem with this delay, though. You know what I'll do is, in place of this delay, we'll put in the poll in there. How does this block work again? Maybe instead of using this block macro, we'll do the loop ourselves. And we'll end up calling wait ourselves. So that means I kind of want to move this down to here and have it take over the USB. I already lost it. So where was that again? Here. This little block of code. And I don't need the continue, do I? We can just call it like that and not care what the return value is. Yeah, so in the delay, right? So we'll refactor this in a second, but it's going to grab our USB device. Might as well own it, right? And then I need to redo this thing, so maybe just unroll this macro? Unroll that macro. Are you using some Arduino, or how is this keyboard gonna work? I got a command just for you, TS Jost. It is the KB2040 command. Also, I got a notebook right there. So, from Adafruit, pin compatible with Pro Micro, which is popular for keyboards. There you go. See, I got commands for everything. Not, but I hopefully I will after a while have commands for most everything. So I've seen people make keyboards out of the Pico directly. There's one called Pinchy, but this is not the same as the Pico. This is the Adafruit's adaptation of it. I think I might have... Oh yeah, here we go. The Pinchy. This one's also using Rust firmware, so I might actually look to this for inspiration. Maybe steal a little bit. We'll see. But check it out. It's like the Corn, only it's got 2 Raspberry Pi Picos on it, which has the same microcontroller I have, only it's got a lot more pins. And one thing I read about this is it has got so many GPIOs, they don't even need to use diodes on the keys. They just wire every key direct into a GPIO. I can't do that with this reduced pinout microcontroller board, so I have to use diodes or something else. But the benefit is my board is smaller. This is a little bit bigger, right? Anyway, we'll probably look at their code when I get stuck and I can't figure something out, and I'll just look and see how they did it. Where appropriate? Yeah? Is that what you're saying, dude man? Like, get inspiration where appropriate? Alright, so if we're unrolling this delay loop, that's the expression here, right? Match delay wait. So we can get rid of that, we can get rid of that. Is this NB error, I'm guessing? Which we don't really care about. Wait. I can't hit control click on that to get it yet. But probably won't get an error, right? I know what I can do. I can just put an NB and see what happens. And what's wrong with this? Oh, right. We're not supposed to return anything. Okay. So let's see. That would be like a let. Yeah, right. We had this part and I deleted it. Got any book recommendations, technical or non-technical? It depends on what the subject is. So stuff relevant to what I'm doing, I'd recommend the online books that come with Rust. So you just look up, go to DuckDuckGo, type learn Rust, and they got some books here for you. So there's the book, the Rust programming language. There are 2 other things. There's like a learn by example and like a online course that kind of walks you through it. I haven't done this middle one. I've looked at the example one, which just looks kind of okay. The book was really good. We used that a couple years ago when I learned Rust. I don't have any hardcover book recommendations though, sorry. Rust for Rustaceans, isn't that kind of circular? If you're already a Rustation, why do you... No, just kidding. I guess that Rust for Rustaceans must be like the advanced book, right? Like you already know Rust, and now you want to learn more advanced stuff? Say you're joking, Mr. Feynman is a nice... Actually, I have that book, T.S. Jost. I had that book in my hand the other day. It was on my shelf. It's actually not a bad book. Oh, John Who wrote Rust for Rustaceans? Then it's got my recommendation. He's pretty cool. You read The Martian recently? I watched The Martian on an airplane ride, and I kept thinking as I was watching it, the book was better. Anyway, okay, so those are my recommendations for getting started on Rust. So I should probably think about embedded stuff. What would I recommend? I had some links to it, but it's easy to find these. If you just, again, go to your search engine and you do embedded Rust, there is a curated list. See if I can find it. Okay, it's awesome Rust. Here it is. The curated list. Here, I'll just put the link in chat. So this has got like a ton of links to stuff, right? Community chat rooms, books, training material. Here you go. When you get through all of that, then you'll be a master, I'm sure. There we go. Okay, that needs a semicolon. And I need to put this inside of that, right? So let's put it here. This is what we do while we're waiting, right? Is we're going to be polling the USB. So it's going to grab both our serial driver. If it's grabbing our serial driver mutably, that's going to be a problem, right? Because I'm going to want to use it outside of this delay function. So I think I'll have to actually have it borrow it. So something like this. And then I can do that, correct? And then I'll just have to here and here. I said here and... Come on, keys, work for me. I thought it was... Hold on, Alt, and there we go. Borrow the serial port, right? Okay, but anyway, we need to have a USB bus, and I need to import serial port, which we can do really easily now. Okay, so we need a USB bus, and we need a USB device builder. I think this actually comes from USB device. Let's see if I'm right. I think it comes from here. So if I go to their API reference, and I go to, where is it? Usually it's on the left side, right? I need to make this bigger for everybody to read it. There we go. Does it not have the builder here, or is that part of the HAL? Let's search USB device builder, right? Yeah, there it is. Why? Oh, right, there it is. Okay. So I do need USB device. What version are we on? 0.2. USB device. You might ask why it's USB device. I actually know the answer to that. It's because there are really two sides to the USB coin. There's USB host, USB device. If you are a computer and you're going to be connecting things like keyboards and mice to it, you are the host. If you are a keyboard or a mouse and you're going to be connected to a computer, you are a device. You can actually have a dual mode port called an on-the-go port, and it kind of dynamically figures out based off of how you plug it in and what the pull-ups are and what pins, whether it should be a host or a device. If you want to work through the embedded Rust book, but the hardware they use is out of stock, well, you could use similar hardware and just figure it out. That's what I did. Like, I think the embedded Rust book talks about the STF or STM, SF, what is it, S4 or something, ST micro hardware, but this Pi Pico works too, and that's not out of stock. And I also played around with the Pi Zero because I happen to have one, and that was a little rougher because there aren't any board support package or HAL crates for that. But it's kind of like jumping into the deep end. I figured out how to make a linker script and how to do like everything on bare metal, they call it, where you have to figure out the interrupt handler and the reset vector and all that stuff. Or actually, I think you can also just use the simulator, right? I forget what... Anybody remember what the simulator is? Like, is it XNU or something? Like you can simulate microcontrollers now. You don't even need real hardware. Okay, so can I... Yes, I can now import that. I can import that. CDC, we have that from USB-D serial. So now we just need the USB bus. All right, so here's the tricky thing. The USB bus is from our HAL. Hopefully there is one. I can't imagine that Pinchy would have worked without it, so there must be one inside of our HAL crate. So let's look that up. That was the Adafruit KB2040. So I'm guessing that there's a USB host, a USB device class in here somewhere. Just search for USB. Is there not a USB? Is it part of the... I'll be sad if there's no USB bus implementation here. I'm missing something. Maybe it's not in Adafruit. Maybe it's in one of its dependencies. That would be the RP2040 HAL, right? Yeah. There we go. USB. Okay, and they even have a little nice example. There we go. Let's just steal it. Okay, so let's put it here because it needs to go here, and we're going to say, like, instantiate the USB bus, USB device bus driver, or bus implementation provided by the HAL. And if you're wondering what HAL is, just do the HAL command. Hey there, is Matt. How are you doing? It is a fun project. Well, microcontroller. I'm glad you asked that, is Matt. We are using the KB2040 board, which uses the RP2040 microprocessor. Actually, that should say microcontroller. I should change that. I should fix that, right? Yeah, it's the one made by Raspberry Pi. Alright, we need the bus allocator. It's weird that it comes from class prelude. That's not the right import, is it? It should come from the HAL. Oh, no, this is a wrapper. USB bus probably comes from HAL. There it comes. Okay. So this must be a wrapper provided by USB device. There we go. Easy peasy. Mutable. Oh, why did I do that? I don't need that. It should be the other way, right? It's mutable reference to whatever serial is. Actually, do I even need to give the type? I probably don't. Let's see if I can get away with not giving a type there. Cannot borrow it more than once at a time. It's borrowed in the first iteration. All right, so there was something about this that I need to do, right? When it says it's mutably borrowed here in the previous iteration of the loop, do I just make this into a regular function and that fixes it? Going good? That's good. You designed the keyboard layout yet? No, I haven't done that yet. That will be in a stream in the future at some point. I am going to go with the corn style because I have a corn. See? It's lovely. I love it. I'm just going to the next step and making my own. I'm probably going to go with the same profile keycaps. Can you see that? They're just a regular profile, but leave them blank. right? Because who needs labels on their keys? These have the cherry browns. I got some samples of the cherry whites, and I think they're maybe a little bit too loud. So I haven't really. I'm gonna make just like this corn here, something that's hot swappable. But I do need to pick between the regular, what do they call them? Cherry MX profile switches and like the chalk low profile ones, because they are wired. Their sockets are different shapes, right? They're different. What's the word? They're wired differently. So I need to decide that at some point, or maybe I make one of both. Maybe I make a low profile one and a regular profile one. I also have an Adafruit Feather with a Bluetooth thing on it. So if I'm really ambitious, I'll do my stretch goal, which I have in my notes if you look there, which is to have one with the Bluetooth interface. Different pins, some decent low profile cherry switches now, so I can actually have a Cherry MX socket and like a low profile cherry switch. Cool. I say I can try it out. That will be easy because these are all hot swappable, right? Ooh, what do we got here? We're gonna geek out on switches for a second, and I'll save your link. Actually, let me start doing that. I have this new notebook, but I don't have a section yet for like notes. Or actually it should be like, there should be a page for notes. We don't have any yet. And this page should be like, something like to be followed up on, to do. What do I call this page? Reading list or something? There we go. I'll just put your link there, and I'll just skim it right now. Ooh, look at that. I see. So it's like not super low profile, but it has the same keycap and the same. Yeah, that's the same geometry of the pins. That's important because that interfaces directly to the socket. Cool. Thank you for that. All right, okay. I was thinking to fix this. I'm doing something wrong here, but maybe make it easier on myself and just make that into a proper function. Then I can name the typer, or maybe I just need to name the type here. Serial port. I don't think this is the right way to go, but let's just see, right? So it's the USB bus. Nope, that was it. It just needed the proper type. Okay. So let's see if this builds. Like it's building. Should we have it write something? Actually, if it works, it should pop up as a serial port on my computer, right? And then I'll try to write something when I get to this point. First try. It's so easy to do this. It's easy. Okay, here we go. Hold down bootloader and then toggle reset. Ba-da. And then hit flash. Ba-da. Oh, setting up device. We're setting up serial port. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. Unfortunately, oh, it says COM6 is set up and ready to go. Wow, 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 wow. So, what's the baud rate? I need to look this up now. Like, what do I connect it at? Have you done much USB with C++? No. I have done USB stuff in C, but that was so many years ago at Qualcomm that I don't remember much. Other than that, I had a really cool USB protocol analyzer, and so I could see when I messed up the protocol, and I'm kind of sad that I don't have that right now. But hopefully all this stuff has been written for me in these crates, so I don't need to worry about it. Okay, I'm going to go back to that serial crate, because I'm curious, like, how do you set up the baud rate and stuff? It's stream-like, similar to UART, yeah, but how do I set the baud rate? Maybe it's when I build it, there are some things I can give it. Oh, here we go. Line coding. That's getting the line coding. How do I set the baud rate? Maybe it's... Is it something like where it's automatically set by the host? Could it be that? How does this work? Should I just... Is it magical? Is it whatever baud rate I set it to? Let's just assume it's magical, and then I'll have it write something here. We can't write immediately because we need to wait for it to enumerate. So what if I say that... Why don't we just increase the delay here? All right, so it's once a second, and then once a second, we'll just try to write to it. So serial dot write, and it just wants some bytes. So let's give it some bytes. Hello world. You have to write that. It's the very first thing we write, right? And then it returns something, right? Do I need to unwrap that? Gives me a result use size. Okay, so if the buffers are full, it might block. You know, I don't care. Let's just say that we unwrap that. Let's just ignore it completely. We won't even panic. Actually, isn't the better way to just say drop? Drop the result? I've been getting Clippy warnings on some of my programs lately that says you don't want to assign it to underscore, you want to drop it. That's better. Yes, USB clients are configured by the host for baud rate. Nice. Buy followers, primes, and viewers on whatever place? No, thank you. All right. So is that all I need to do? Is it just that easy? Build. And then flash. All right. And now I'll need to set up, what is this, putty? For a COM6. This has some personal info on it, so I can't show it until I load it. Change it to COM6 and put a 6 there. And hit save, and then open. I forgot carriage return line feed, but look, it's working. It's working. Okay, that's cool. Beep, beep. Let's put in a carriage return line feed. That's so easy. Almost first try. Okay, so build. While it's building, I'll just do this. Flash. I should explain those sounds you're hearing. The bada is I replaced the USB disconnect sound in Windows with that, so it doesn't confuse you into thinking that your computer's making those sounds. Yeah. Because sometimes I'll watch other people's streams and they're also in Windows, and then they'll unplug something, and then I'm like, what happened to my computer? I'm like, oh, it's not my computer, it's the streamer's computer. So now you'll know the difference. Buy Rust, traits, and dine on rust.rs. Good one. I dropped some frames there. Uh-oh. I'm getting disk I/O errors by my bot. That sounds ominous. Am I running out of disk space? I got plenty of disk space free. Why would my bot have trouble writing to the disk? Should I be worried about something going on with my computer? Unable to write to the disk I/O error. Okay, you're gonna see my bot go to sleep and then come back in a second. Wow, it overflowed its stack. Okay, let's try the bot again. No, it can't write to the disks for some reason. Disk I/O error, that's bad. What does that mean? Touch ABC. LS to pipe that to ABC. Cat ABC. There's nothing wrong with the disk. Why would I be getting disk errors? Error writing to disk. Something wrong with my database file? Hold on. I hate it when my operating system doesn't work very well for me. I wonder if it's confused by the serial port. Because that adds a drive, right? Okay. I mean, let's see if I can write to it manually. I can't show this on stream because it's showing like the database that my bot is using, and I don't want to leak anything. Let's see if I just make a simple change like, I don't know. Oh, I was going to fix something in one of the commands, right? What was it? It was the RP command, right? It said like